Today, Google announcing its first ever physical retail store. It'll be located in New York City and is planned to open pretty soon. The Federal Reserve hints at pulling back some monetary support that was put in place for the recovery. We ask what it could mean for the economy. And do you know if your neighbor is minting Bitcoin? Apparently in one Chinese region, if that's the case, the government wants you to report them to the authorities. That and much more, coming up at NTD Business. Good evening, great to have you with us. The Biden administration wants to make sure it's collecting tax on your crypto profits. The Treasury says even though crypto isn't a big part of people's income right now, that's likely to change over the next decade. In a new tax plan released today, the government would require all crypto transfers over $10,000 to be reported to the IRS. It says crypto enables illegal activity like tax evasion since it's outside the traditional banking system. The proposal is part of Biden's American Families Plan, which seeks to more than double the IRS's workforce over a decade. The crypto market had one of its most volatile days ever yesterday. Bitcoin fell as much as 30%. The entire crypto market now worth just over $2 trillion. And Google announcing today that it will open its first ever retail store in New York City. The company has toyed with the idea before back in 2018, but backed down shortly after. NTD's Evelyn Lee tells us what we can expect.
We're in Chelsea right now, and behind me is a potential spot for Google's first ever retail store. Google announced its plans Thursday, saying it wants to give its customers a space where they can better experience Google's hardware and services in a helpful way. The company plans on opening the store near its New York City campus, where it employs more than 11,000 people. There, customers will be able to browse Pixel phones, Pixel books, Nest thermostats and speakers, Fitbit products, and more. The Google store will also offer technical support like fixing cracked phone screens. The physical store marks a new experiment for Google. So far, it's only run pop-up shops in major cities for product launches in the past. But it usually relies on its websites and other retailers to sell its products and services. The announcement comes at a time where retailers are still recovering from lockdowns. And less than a year earlier, Microsoft announced that it's permanently closing its store locations. But according to Google's Vice President of Subscription Services, Jason Rosenthal, many Google customers are looking for a more hands-on experience. The company hopes to open the store sometime this summer. Evelyn Lee, NTD News.
And Ford says it already has 20,000 reservations for its brand new F-150 Lightning. That's less than 12 hours after the new electric pickup was unveiled. The new all-electric truck has a range of up to 300 miles. It looks like it can do just about everything a regular truck can. It is all-wheel drive, can haul up to 2,000 pounds, and can even tow up to 10,000 pounds. Owners can also tap into its batteries to power things like lights and tools. It's expected to start at just shy of $40,000. That's about $10,000 more than the base price of a standard F-150. And Swedish oat milk maker Oatly debuts on Wall Street today, and its shares went up 30%. It's now valued at $13 billion. Oatly sells in more than 20 markets across Europe, the US, and China. It's mostly known for its oat milk and has tie-ups with several US cafes, including Starbucks. It has the backing of celebrities like Oprah Winfrey, Natalie Portman, and former Starbucks head Howard Schultz. And plant-based foods in general have gained investor interest over the past few years. Much of the demand is being led by millennials and Gen Z consumers. Plant-based retail sales hit $7 billion in the US in 2020, up 27% from the year before. And stocks closed higher on Wall Street today, ending a 3-day losing streak. The Dow rose 188 points, more than 0.5%. S&P 500 gained 43 points, just over 1%. And the Nasdaq added 236 points, roughly 1.75%. Technology and communications companies led the way higher. Oil prices fell, though, dragged down energy stocks. Treasury yields mostly fell too. 10-year Treasury yield slipped to 1.63%. Gold also down for the day. The biggest digital currency, Bitcoin, initially bounced back from yesterday's plunge, but later dropped after the Treasury proposal about tax reporting that we mentioned earlier. And on the Treasury yields, the Federal Reserve looks to finally be thinking about pulling back some of the monetary support and asset purchases it's been doing since last year. That's if the economy grows fast enough. From the minutes from its April meeting, it seems a number of officials want to start planning how to reduce that massive bond buying program. Every month, the Fed prints about $120 billion and uses it to buy government bonds, corporate bonds, and other securities. The idea is to inject liquidity or money into the system and keep borrowing costs down for people and businesses and governments. But it's very likely contributing to inflation. I asked Joseph Trevisani at FX Street how significant it would be if the Fed did indeed scale back its purchases.
Well, the Fed is, I think yesterday's minutes were probably more important than most people seem to have paid attention to. If the Fed is deliberately talking about that it's time to start talking, remember that famous quote from last year, they're not even talking or thinking about raising rates. Well, clearly now they are thinking about raising rates, because that's why they included that edited quote and description in the Fed minutes yesterday. So I think it's clear, and it's really always been clear, but this is an acknowledgement, that if the economy keeps improving, and certainly if we get a better jobs number in May, then we're moving towards raising rates, or at least we're moving towards cutting down on the bond purchase. It's $120 billion a month that the Fed is using to keep short-term rates stationary. We've
been kind of talking about this all year and kind of trying to imagine what it would mean for markets and for the economy. We say they were to start raising rates, let's say in 2 months' time, 3 months' time. How are things going to look different?
Well, you know, raising rates will have a couple of impacts. Certainly it'll be good for the dollar. We saw up until the end of March, from the new year until the end of March, the dollar was rising because Treasury rates were rising. There was a very close correlation there. Treasury rates have been stationary largely since then. The 10-year has come off about 10, 12 points since its high. So that is one thing that will happen. The stock market, I don't think, will be that affected by it, because if you're looking at growth, and if you're looking at growth at the degree that the Fed and others are considering, 6.5% growth for the year, the Atlanta Fed has a 10% handle on its running estimate for the second quarter. So you're talking about an unusually strong period for U.S. growth. So I don't think the stock market it will get a rebalancing, shall we say, but I don't think it'll affect the market much. One thing that you will get, of course, is higher rates from the Treasury market, and that means lower Treasury prices, but higher yields.
You think by that time people will be back on their feet? They won't need all of these very low yields on loans or mortgages or stuff like that. We'll start to get back to something more normal.
Yes, I agree. I think so. I mean, I don't think that going from here on in, I don't really think that the economy needs this extraordinary period of low interest rates. I just don't think it's necessary right now, because the way that the economy reacted, and we've seen it react to the end of the pandemic, or what we assume is the end of the pandemic, is actually very reassuring. And some of the anomalies, such as the last non-farm payrolls, I think are due to policy mistakes more than anything else. But the economy itself looks ready to run. People are willing to spend, people are wanting to go out, all of the things that they want to recover are ready to go.
Joseph Trevisani, FX Street. And the number of Americans seeking unemployment aid fell to a new pandemic low last week. It's a sign the job market keeps strengthening. The Labour Department says jobless claims fell to 444,000. That number gives you a rough idea of how many people are being laid off each week, and it's been improving all year. The total number of people receiving benefits also went down. That's as some states scrapped the enhanced federal unemployment benefits to encourage people to go back to work. 22 states plan to drop it, with Florida and Kansas also considering it. Under the program, you could get an extra $300 per week on top of your regular state unemployment aid. And even though the price of steel is up 50% in the last 12 months, U.S. steel groups don't want President Biden to get rid of Trump-era steel tariffs. The tariffs make it more expensive for Americans to import steel, but the steel groups sent a letter to Biden asking them to keep them in place after the U.S. struck a temporary tariff truce with the European Union. NTD's Tom Ozimek has the details.
U.S. steel industry groups and the United Steelworkers Union want President Biden to keep in place the steel tariffs imposed 3 years ago. The groups argued Wednesday that the Trump-era steel tariffs have been a success, and lifting them now would undermine the industry's viability. They warn of devastating import surges if other countries are allowed to dump their excess steel into the U.S. market. It comes after the U.S. and the European Union announced a deal Monday to not escalate their dispute over U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum. The European Commission said it would suspend for up to 6 months its threat to double retaliatory tariffs on Harley-Davidson motorcycles, American whiskey, and motorboats. The European Union also agreed not to impose new tariffs on more U.S. products, from lipstick to sports shoes. The truce leaves the U.S. metals tariffs in place, as well as previously existing EU retaliatory tariffs. The two sides also agreed to discuss solutions before the end of the year to the issue of global steel and aluminum overcapacity. Tom Ozimek, NTD News.
An investment between the US and China apparently dropped to its lowest level since 2009 last year. The trade war and virus pandemic could be to blame. A new report found that only about $16 billion flowed between the US and China. That's down from $70 billion in 2016. U.S. capital investment in China also dropped to a 16-year low, but Chinese investment in the U.S. did in fact rise, although it was still much lower than the peak in 2016. President Biden has kept many of Trump's tariffs on Chinese goods, and many of the Chinese companies banned from U.S. markets are still banned. And the CEO of TikTok's parent company, Bytedance, is stepping down. The management shakeup comes as Chinese regulators increase scrutiny of the country's biggest tech firms. Jason Albano reports.
The CEO of China's Bytedance, co-founder Zhang Yiming, is stepping down. Bytedance owns TikTok, the short video app that has become a global sensation. Zhang made the announcement in an internal memo seen by Reuters on Thursday and said he would be succeeded by co-founder and head of human resources Rubo Liang. The move is the biggest corporate shakeup at the company since its launch in 2012 and comes after several months of deliberation. In his memo, Zhang said he would have a greater impact on the company's longer-term initiatives if he transitioned out of the CEO role.
Bytedance's CEO isn't the only Chinese tech boss to step down. Several tech executives also resigned recently. It's as Beijing intensifies its crackdown on Chinese tech companies. Last month, Chinese authorities summoned over 30 internet titans and ordered them to put what they called national interests first and follow the rules of fair competition. And a Chinese province is asking its residents to blow the whistle on anyone they know who is mining cryptocurrency. It's the latest way the Chinese regime is cracking down on crypto. NTD's Patrick Hayden has more.
A Chinese province is asking residents to inform on people they suspect are mining cryptocurrency. Inner Mongolia says the crackdown is to reduce energy consumption, as crypto mining requires a considerable amount of electricity. The province has set up a telephone hotline so residents can report any suspected mining. The Inner Mongolia Development and Reform Commission says they're going to comprehensively clean up and shut down these operations. Markets Insider reports the Commission is also targeting companies that are posing as data centers. These businesses get tax breaks, property discounts and cheaper electricity, all of which assists mining. These actions coincide with a growing crackdown in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies across the whole country. Cointelegraph reports that from September 2019 to April 2020, the province was a global hub for crypto mining, accounting for nearly 8% of global Bitcoin mining. And Chinese miners account for the vast majority of Bitcoins mined globally. This week, China's central bank said they are not real currencies. The regime wants to promote its digital yuan, which it controls. Following the announcement, Bitcoin slumped as much as 30%. The Chinese regime limits the amount of money individuals can send abroad, so cryptocurrencies are one way Chinese citizens can get around these rules. Patrick Hayden, NTD News.
And the world's biggest cobalt mine is set to restart operations next year. It could help ease shortages in the cobalt market, which is seeing rising demand because of electric vehicles. David Doyle has the details.
Commodity trader and miner Glencore is planning to restart operations next year at the world's biggest cobalt mine, located in Democratic Republic of Congo. That's according to a source with direct knowledge of the matter, speaking to Reuters. Operations were suspended at the Mutanda cobalt and copper mine in November 2019. Glencore Chief Executive Ivan Glassenberg said falling cobalt prices, increased costs, and higher taxes had dented its economic viability. But with copper now at record highs of above $10,000 a ton, and cobalt up almost 40% since the start of 2021, market focus has returned to Mutanda. Renewed output from the mine could help ease shortages that analysts are expecting for next year. That will potentially cap further price gains. While copper is vital for the power and construction industries, cobalt hydroxide, produced at Mutanda as a byproduct of copper mining, is seeing rising demand due to its use in the fast-growing electric vehicle sector.
And still to come. HBO is offering a less expensive version of its streaming service, but there is a catch. Find out what it is and how much it'll cost. And a one-of-a-kind dumpling shop in New York City opens its doors after a year-long delay. We take you there to get a taste of the grand opening and what makes it so unique. That and more after this short break.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back.
When you want to talk, I'm here.
Hi folks, Joe Namath here, and if you're on Medicare, this is important. You're now entitled to eliminate copays and get dental care, dentures, eyeglasses, prescription coverage, in-home aids, unlimited transportation, and home-delivered meals, all at no additional cost. Plus, your zip code may have coverage with the Give Back benefit that adds money back to your Social Security check every month.
I called to get dental, transportation, meals, and the gift back benefit.
With this virus situation, I called to get everything I'm entitled to. I couldn't believe I was missing out on so many benefits.
With the uncertainty of the virus, you need to get everything you're entitled to. Millions of people have trusted the Medicare Coverage Helpline. You can too. Call now. It's free.
Call 1-800-764-1930. That's 1-800-764-1930 now.
Microsoft is saying goodbye to its iconic web browser. It says it's ending support for Internet Explorer 11 next year. It debuted in 1995 and was once the most used web browser. But Microsoft said Internet Explorer is now slow, less secure, and no longer compatible with many modern web tasks. But don't worry, Windows users will still have access to Microsoft Edge, that's the company's modern browser. Edge is based on Google's open source Chrome code and has gained traction in recent years. Support for Internet Explorer 11 will end on June 15, 2022. And in a quarter where a record number of companies are defeating analyst estimates, department store Kohl's also joins the party, but investors still aren't that impressed. NTD's Jasmina Davis has the latest.
Kohl's defeats analyst estimates, but investors aren't impressed. During pre-market trading, shares fell 8%.
They posted double-digit growth. However, despite this growth, they are still not at pre-pandemic levels, so they still have some work to do to catch up.
Refinitive's Jerome Martis says Target stole a lot of market share from Kohl's, largely by being a one-stop shop. Now, Kohl's current strategy involves becoming the leading destination for the active and casual lifestyle. It's launching more private label brands following the recent release of athleisure line Flex.
They are gravitating towards importing more athleisure wear in order to gain some of that market share back, as they know that consumers are still have health and wellness as a top priority and are gravitating towards those purchases.
Kohl's is also bringing beauty retailer Sephora into around 200 stores this fall. Beauty associate recruitment has already begun, with staffing and training to be completed by the end of July.
This partnership will transform Kohl's into a leading beauty destination and is expected to drive significant incremental sales and new customer acquisition. As we shared last month, we will offer more than 125 prestige beauty brands.
Sephora launches online on August 1st, which hopes to open in 850 physical locations by 2023. Refinitiv says Kohl's will strategically place athleisure wear around Sephora, a strategy analysts believe will work. Jasmina Davis, NTD News.
And HBO Max is offering a less expensive version of its streaming service. The catch is you have to watch ads. The new ad-supported version of the platform will cost about $10 a month. That's about $5 cheaper than the ad-free version. HBO Max with ads will launch the first week of June, but for now, even with the ads version, you'll be able to watch HBO originals like Game of Thrones without ads. The ad-supported tier will not have access to Warner Brothers' big films that premiere on HBO Max in theaters at the same time. And Fidelity is joining a growing list of investment groups allowing teens to trade stocks for free. The move comes as more young people enter the stock market and as Congress scrutinizes investment apps and their business model. Mandy Geither has what parents should know before letting their kids trade.
Wall Street for teens. Fidelity announcing it's launching the Fidelity Youth Account, an investing and savings account for 13 to 17-year-olds.
Fidelity made this move and is realizing that there are other companies out there like Robinhood, which have made a major market dent in the teen market and the 20s market right now.
The account is free and will allow teens to buy and sell stocks, ETFs, and mutual funds. Parents must also have a Fidelity account and will have access to their kids' spending and investment activity. Investment experts say the move removes barriers to investing and allows families to start building generational wealth.
So I think it's really going to open up those conversations. And when parents see that children are excited about something, I think that it also makes them kind of interested in it.
The move comes at a time when millennial and younger Gen Z investors are entering the stock market in large numbers. Fidelity's rival, Robinhood, has come under scrutiny for allowing risky behavior among some individual investors.
They look at Reddit boards or they're following trends on social media and buying and selling stocks every day, and that's not really investing. It's really more gambling.
Experts say Fidelity should work to educate clients to prevent them from making reckless choices with their money.
We want to make sure that people are learning about investing, that they're investing responsibly, and that they're truly building wealth for themselves and for their family.
I'm Mandy Gaither.
And off go the masks, on come the lipstick. Many cosmetic industry are happy about it. Like many other businesses, the CTP virus pandemic deeply affected the industry. Mask wearing put a near halt on lipstick purchases, that is until now. According to the latest figures from a group that tracks data for retailers, in the past 4 weeks alone, lipstick sales hit over $34 million. That's up more than 80% from the same period last year. Sales are not quite what they were before the pandemic, but Walmart isn't complaining. The nation's biggest retailer told CNN lipstick is currently the top performer across all segments of cosmetics. There you go. And a unique dumpling restaurant in Manhattan's East Village neighborhood has finally opened its doors after a year-long delay. People formed long lines to get in, and NTD's Arian Pastor met with the owner and eager customers too.
So as of today, New York City is pretty much fully reopened. So if you're thinking about coming to visit the city, you might want to visit this dumpling shop right here. Not only is the whole procedure of how you order the food very special, because it's very futuristic, and unlike other kitchens, you can also see the food being made right in front of your eyes. So that's one thing. But on top of that, even the dumplings themselves are in like no other place. Check it out.
Deli sandwiches like pastrami, bacon cheeseburger, lamb gyro, even French onion soup into a traditional dumpling. Hence, I have all the Chinese chefs here. I'm the Greek. We put it all together.
The restaurant will be open 24/7, and the entire process from starting the order to picking up the food is done with a special contactless system, similar to the automat concept, which first started decades ago in fast food chains. The owner walked us through the process.
But you can scan this and use your phone as a remote control, staying true to contactless.
All right.
So basically, I ordered this for you. You know what? You mentioned the dessert dumplings. Let's do a dessert dumpling.
The main dish can be topped off with dessert dumplings, which come in all kinds of flavors, like cinnamon saffron, warm Nutella, fried banana, and more. And those even come with ice cream on top. After paying, you just hold the receipt up to a barcode scanner. Once the food is ready, you will get it from one of the lockers, which have built-in heaters. People stood in line to finally try the crazy dumplings.
So I've been waiting for about a year, and very proud that it was actually the first dumpling to be purchased from this establishment. So holding it to a high standard.
All right, do you want to try it right now?
Yeah, let's try it. On the record. It was worth the wait.
The restaurant's kitchen has the capacity to make 30,000 dumplings an hour, and they are planning to get there one day. Just like most places in the city, this place now also has an outdoor dining structure, which in my opinion is pretty nice on a hot day like this. Arian Pastar, NTD News, New York.
Nice. That's the latest business updates for today. You can still catch NTD Evening News with Stephanie Cox. That's at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. For NTD Business, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.
We have a new channel. Subscribe to us on YouTube at NTD News. Get the highlights of our news broadcast and the most important headlines that we curate especially for you.
Don't miss out on important news. Our videos are being deleted. So if you don't want to be cut off from honest news, take a moment to sign up for our newsletter at newsletter.ntd.com so you don't lose access to NTD. Go to newsletter.ntd.com to sign up for our evening newsletter.